YouTube, Louie here, and welcome to the weekend. I want to talk about a serious issue today that gives me some concern and may concern you as well. This story is a little bit old. It was a week or two ago that the Kitco site was hacked. And I want to tell you why you might be concerned, not only if you've purchased metals from Kitco, but purchase metals from any online retailer. And this is about cyber attacks, and you probably saw the story. I think Son of a Silver Stacker was the first to report this outage on Kitco that was the result of a cyber attack. And I know a little bit about cyber attacks because my company was attacked about a year ago, and I was intimately involved in rectifying that. And I want to tell you what this means, what this actually means behind the scenes when there is a cyber attack of an online bullion retailer. Now, if you've never purchased silver or gold through Kitco, you should not worry. But I think this shows that there is a trend here, and I want to alert you to what could happen as a result of buying silver and gold online if there is an attack on your bullion retailer. Now, I'm going to go from my personal experience, but I'll tell you what Kitco has said. It's been reported in the news that they were the victims of a cyber attack, which they say brought down their website. Then they also said that they closed their website because they did not want the attackers to gather any personal information from their customers. Then there was another report later that said that the attackers did not get any of the personal credit information from their website. But then there was a subsequent report that said they were unable to guarantee that the hackers did not get any personal information from the attack. So there's a bit of a cloud over this, and there will likely remain a cloud over it because a cyber attack results in months and months and months of forensic investigation, negotiation, and then disclosure. And the thing to be worried about here, and I'll tell you why in a minute, is that they may not get your financial information, your credit card, etc. But if they have your name and address, that information can be posted on the dark web. And we could have a scenario where everyone who has bought silver and gold name and address could be up for bid on the dark web. So here's how this works. That's all I know about the Kitco situation from the outside, and I'm sure they're doing their best to rectify and deal with the situation. And that is, I'm not going to speculate about what comes next for Kitco, but I will tell you it is a long process. I mean, my company was involved for over 2 months negotiating with the cyber attackers. In our particular case, it was a Russian crew that does this over and over again. And the way that all companies are vulnerable is that there is always a backdoor into the company's website to the extent that they don't use the cloud, to the extent that they have remote locations. That's how they got us. They came in through a remote location and then went back up to the master server from that remote location. And it even involved one of our IT staff who had left the door open, so to speak. Now, of course, our company is much more secure now, and we have moved everything to the cloud, which does improve your security. We've also hired an ongoing cybersecurity company at a cost of nearly $250,000 a year to protect the company and be watching for threats instantaneously. They have eyes on glass to find out how they're going to get in. They can get in as simple as a phishing email that allows someone to click a link, enter a password. If they have a lot of employees, those employees can give up their passwords pretty easily, and then they're in the system and they can start looking for ways to the master databases. They can be after customer files, they can be after employee files, names, addresses, credit information, and if you're a healthcare company, personal health information. Okay, and in terms of what happens here, so if there is an attack, then you're immediately contacted by the attacker that they have captured some or all of your data, your sensitive data. They will prove that to you by posting a segment of the data on the dark web and give you a access to that data, and you can see that yes, in fact, they do have financial information, social security numbers, addresses, names, etc. And the implication is, they have so much and they may have it all. How much they have depends on how quickly a company recognizes the threat and then closes down the access point. So let's assume that can happen to any company, and you've seen that a lot of gigantic companies have been attacked, and then their websites brought down, which of course causes millions of dollars of lost revenue and puts everyone at risk. You might say just call the cops, but the cops are absolutely no help in this scenario because these people are out of the country, and when they are discovered, they close it down and start just a new enterprise. They do multiples of these and hope that they can get someone to pay the ransom. The ransom will usually be in the millions of dollars, okay? And in some cases, companies pay it, because in some cases, if they're not properly backed up, they may not even be able to operate their company any longer. So if they don't have a proper backup, if they don't have a current backup, they are out of business for hours, days, weeks, or even months if they have to recreate their entire operating system. And it would be very easy to pay the ransom and get access to your website back, get access to your data back. But many companies do not pay the ransom, and sometimes that doesn't even work. In our case, we had cybersecurity insurance, which is a must-have these days and is really quite reasonable. And that cybersecurity insurance would have paid for a reasonable ransom, but the ransoms were unreasonable, and we decided to shut them down and accept the risk. And sure enough, the information was ultimately put on the dark web, and employees who had their information compromised, started getting cyber phishing attacks, etc. So all of that can happen. And once the information goes on the dark web, it is sold to the highest bidder. So if someone was looking for names and addresses of gold and silver stackers, and they found that information on the dark web, and they were willing to pay 10 cents to $1 to $10 a file, that information could be had by absolutely anyone who could be looking for a way to systematically rob holders of gold and silver. All right, so I have painted the absolute worst case here, but I thought it was worth exploring what could happen in this scenario, and it is generally not a scenario that can be fixed. Now these hackers do have reputations. They go by pseudonyms, and to the extent that they want to maintain their reputation as, air quotes, an honorable thief, companies can buy back the information and release release the files, and that can happen and protect your data. In many cases, it won't, because the ransoms are very high. To the extent a company does not have cyber insurance, or does not have cyber insurance well over $1 million, they won't be able to pay the information. As an aside, the cyber insurance is not so useful for ransom requests. It is really useful for everything you have to do subsequent to a cyber attack, which is heavily regulated by our government. And the penalties, if you do not fully comply, are enormous. So you go through a year-long process of forensically identifying what was stolen, and then notifying the government, and then notifying the people that were compromised. And that is the process that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and months of time. And companies are subject to class action lawsuits, which are actually terrifying to a company. So it doesn't resolve quickly. You will not be notified quickly. And if you are one of the people that are hacked, you can be given some credit protection service, which is not very useful a year after the event happens, or a month after the event happens. Like an Experian 1 year free subscription is the kind of thing you will get. But your information will be out there, and somebody who finds it interesting for whatever reason, I think silver and gold stacker addresses are very interesting. If someone wanted to try to have a mass raid on silver and gold stackers, this would be the way that you could do it. But not likely from the cyber attacker. It would likely be from somebody who buys the information on the dark web in America. And so that is what could happen. That is full disclosure of the worst possible case scenario. I myself have never bought from Kitco, but I've bought from every other online retailer. And this is just worth noting. If you're someone that only goes to LCSs, well, then you don't have to worry about that. But if you're always looking for the best deal, online, then this provides something to worry about. All right, I'd like to get your feedback. This is somewhat of hyperbolic speculation on my part, but I do know exactly what happens in the case of a cyber attack, and this is exactly what could happen in the worst of all possible worst cases. What do you think? Do you think that you should be worried about this? Do you think that we should stop purchasing from online entities? I think there's a great deal more protection possibly shopping through eBay, because you're one step removed from, nobody is going to likely hack an eBay seller. But then again, the major retailers sell through eBay as well, so perhaps that doesn't provide protection. And if you're an LCS kind of person, well, then this would be one way that local coin shops have an advantage over online retailers. We do live in a dangerous world, and a lot of people have silver and gold at home, which I don't recommend. But I also don't recommend bullion vaults where you don't actually have your silver, and I don't recommend safe deposit boxes, because those can be broken open by the government easily. You'd have to have some kind of remote safe storage to be safe from being robbed of your metals. And everyone should always be worried about being robbed of your metals, especially as your stack gets bigger and bigger. So there is the conundrum. There is something to ponder, and hope I didn't scare you too bad, but just looking at the possibilities here. And I think this hack was underreported in our community, and I think that we should be a little more concerned than people are letting on. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I think I'd like to really engage with dialogue on this, and let me know if I've just gone way off the deep end into tinfoil hat land, and tell me where you think I'm wrong, because I would love to be wrong. That's all I've got for you today, guys. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and get on over to the website bestsilvergolddeals.com if you want to check out the cheapest silver and gold to buy over the weekend online.